Hey, what's up, guys? Nick here with Overage Syndicate, and today I'm going to answer a quick question that somebody emailed me. That's a great question. I've gotten this plenty of times, and the question is, do you need a license or a degree in order to do the overage/surplus funds business? Great question. So there are certain states where if you are acting as a finder, where you're looking for funds and then trying to recover them on behalf of someone, there are certain states that do require you to register as a finder. In some states, you have to be registered as a private investigator. You have to get your license for that. And so to answer this question, yes, there are certain states where you do have to be licensed, whether it's licensed as a finder, licensed as a private investigator. Every state is a little different. Now, there are ways to overcome these obstacles. And so there's always, whenever there's an obstacle, there's always a way either over the obstacle or around the obstacle. One of those ways that's really easy is to use an attorney. If your claim is being filed by an attorney, then you can usually circumvent a lot of these licensing requirements because you're not the one filing a claim on behalf of someone. So take that little nugget for what it's worth. That could probably save you a lot of time and money. And there's some other things you can do as well. So now, do you need a degree? You don't need a degree to do this business. Really, what are the requirements that you do need? Well, you do need to be able to dedicate time to this business, and not a ton of time. You know, I started out doing this part-time, a couple hours a day. So if you have that, then you can get started. You don't need any special degree. You don't need to have a business entity to start. However, I do recommend that as time goes on, you do get one in place. Very simple to do. You can register one through third-party websites, or you can register a business directly through your state. Depending on the state you're in, it's not a lot of money either. If you're in California, yeah, it's going to be a lot of money. But if you're in any other state, it may cost you $100 or less to register a business. So, but you don't need that to get started. If you're going to be serious about this, I recommend people get one, but you don't need one to get started. So I hope that answers the question. Again, it depends on what state you're working, but there's always ways to overcome these obstacles as well. So keep that in mind. Hopefully that helps. And that's pretty much all I got for you. Pretty simple question, simple answer. People also ask if you need a website. You don't need a website to get started, but eventually, if you're going to be serious about this business, it's good to have one. One thing I recommend is to hire someone to build your website so that it stands out from the crowd. I know there's programs out there that offer to help you build a website, which is awesome. Just keep in mind that that website is going to be the same for all of the students of that program. There's not really any way to customize it to yourself. And so what I recommend to overcome that problem is to hire someone cheaply off of websites such as Fiverr.com or Upwork.com to build your website for you. Now, again, you don't need it to get started, but eventually you will want a website if you're serious about the business. What are some other things? I think that's pretty much it as far as that question goes. If you need a license, we could probably talk a whole lot more about what it is that you may need in order to get started. I would recommend, if you're just getting started and you're starting part-time, at least dedicate 1 to 2 hours a day to the business. I would also recommend there are going to be some costs. Every business has some expenses, okay? So let's talk about that briefly, real quick. Now you can control your costs and keep it as low as possible, which is why I love this business so much, is because it allows you to control your costs. So if you're sending out letters, obviously that's going to be a cost, letters to your potential clients. Now you can eliminate that cost completely by just focusing on making phone calls. But if you're going to send letters, budget maybe 50 to $100 a month. And that's probably a lot. One thing I also recommend, if you, I do recommend you invest in a skip tracing software, but you don't have to. There are free resources available. You don't have to do that. But I found that some of the resources, the paid resources, do provide better data. And so if you're going to make that investment, I would budget anywhere from 20 to $100 a month for skip tracing software. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, 50 to $100 for mailing, whether it's marketing or also like sending out paperwork to people, 50 to $100. And, maybe 20 to $100 for a good skip tracing software. If you want to go into more detail, if you want to set up like a business email, that'll cost you around $12 on G Suite or through Google. I think I pay like $20 a month for my website hosting. So those are some other costs that I have. Now my expenses are a lot higher now because of the scale that we're working on. We have a skip tracing software that is very expensive. The other month we paid $700 for that software because of the amount of searches that we do. But that's only when you're getting to a higher level. You don't start there. That's not where I started. But when you start to scale, obviously your expenses scale, but at the same time, your profits should be scaling as well. So I hope that helps answer the question. One, do you need a license? And also gives you a little bit more of an idea of what are some of the things that you may need to get started, some of the things you don't need, and some of the expenses to consider when looking into this business. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that helps, and we will see you in the next one. If you need help getting started in the business, you want to learn how I do it, or possibly work with me on deals, you can visit my website, overagesyndicate.com, or you can go directly to school.overagecourse.com. That's all I have for you. Thanks for listening. Post your questions below. I'll continue to film videos answering your questions, giving you more insights about the overage business, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I appreciate you for watching. Thanks, guys.